All right, let's get it. We're back. I think it's less going on here when I'm charging here versus the city. But this is also where I felt like I drew my most inspiration, deeper thoughts about a week ago. And I haven't been able to really make a proper video since then. But I'm back. I'm actually on a time strain at this time. I just plugged in to charge. However, I'm still on the clock, so there's an alarm that's gonna go off. So I gotta time a 10-minute to 15-minute segment, and then I gotta end it. Make sure I have a closing involved, so that way I'll be able to use this video. So let's get to it. It's been last week. I said I think it was last week. I felt like I had to work like harder than the job demanded. One of the guys not taking their meds, but he's only responsible for that. Meanwhile, the other guys, I give them their meds, so I know they're taking their meds. But that was last week, and this week a little easier, even though I had to do just as much, certain things that usually I don't have to do. I wind up doing it, but it's okay because, once you get used to something, you kind of have a routine, or once you expect to get certain things done, you prepare. So, long story short, we're at the end of the week. It is basically almost Thursday at midnight, and we completed the week. We got 2 more weeks till the trip that's coming up. So with that being said, we're just preparing for that to be a success. We're stepping into unknown territory this time. We're going a little deeper, and I'm also trying to capitalize on the trip. Sometimes it's for pleasure and sometimes it's really for content. By the way, I give myself a pat on the back. I think I got 21 subscribers on my travel channel. That is a new milestone. I was at 18, 19 for a while, but I crossed over 20, 21. It's all natural, people from groups that I ask to follow me. It's not really YouTube that's pushing me. As you guys know, I'm trying to just get 50 subscribers. Maybe I can engage these people on live streams about traveling. So to celebrate that, I think I had to choose a country once that do hit. I got 29 more subscribers to gain, which is probably not going to be easy. The page been up for months. Obviously, it's not enough videos. However, on this trip, I plan on taking enough content that could possibly draw subscribers into my channel, right? So I do have a recipe, and I'm hoping that it could hit and profit the channel. Because if that channel takes off, then this channel will too. I'm not. I think I could work it from there. I just need a couple people on board. So with that being said, I've ordered some equipment as well. Now it's not a lot of stuff, but I ordered the Ray-Bans glasses, which is gonna help me even make these kind of content. Because right now I'm holding a cell phone and I'm speaking close to it, and I'm hoping the glasses will actually, pick up sounds better. And obviously I'm not gonna have to hold something. I get to be a little more discreet, so forth and so on. But it was a good investment. I spent about $410 for it, which I didn't see myself spending that before the trip, but I did realize that. Long story short, most of my trips, yes, I tend to go for pleasure, but it get played out very quick when I get down there. So once I get into content mode, I'm hoping to have the right equipment, because there's only so much you could do with the phone. Sometimes you feel awkward, just kind of just, you know, putting it the whole time. But with the glasses, I feel like I could catch a lot of stuff without, without any interruptions, so to speak. All right, we just covered 5 minutes. Let's go back to the last time I was here and felt inspired. So I had a topic at hand, and I felt like I had the energy to attack it, and I was very articulate with my words. The content is up on the page. I think it only had like 1 or 2 views, so it's not really like, being engaged with, but I alone felt proud of it, and I wish most of my content on my page was like that. But I do realize it took me doing like 60 other videos for me to get to that point of comfortability of speaking, and just alone having a topic also helps me make the content. So long story short, last weekend, most of the stuff that I was recording, I did not upload them because they were not up to par or standard. They were like constant interruptions, or, I just didn't really have a topic. Most of it, I was like, oh man, my mind is blank or something like that. So I found myself saying that a lot on the video, because my mind was blank. And most of the things that I was able to talk about was obviously a trip, which this is not the traveling channel, but I do bring it up from time, because that's gonna be a big part of my life, where I get to go see the world, and I'm not just talking to you guys about past experience, but I'll be able to speak on the present, create new stories, see different cultures. I think that's a more interesting guy than somebody who, speaking on, obviously this is the channel about my debt, failure to launch, and things like that. I feel like I'm far removed from being that guy, for real. Like right now, I'm making enough to rent an apartment. But however, with renting an apartment, that would eliminate a trip every month. I am on par to go on a trip every month. Now, do I want like, I just spent from Monday through basically tomorrow, Thursday morning, I haven't been able to go home or wherever I lay my head at. So it does not make no sense to say, oh, let me get an apartment just to be independent, right? That was the goal for a long time, where I felt stuck. I felt like I wasn't making any progress because, I didn't have my own place. But right now, I feel like this is a win overall. I feel like I've been blessed, Right now, I mean, it's not like I'm sleeping on anybody's couch. I literally get a room, and I'm working 18 hours to begin with. So it's like I just need to crash for like 5.5 hours, and I'm cool. It works perfectly. I couldn't even explain it any better. And with that being said, I get to save that money that I would have spent on rent to be out the country overseas. Now, 3 days, 3 nights or whatever is not enough to go further out. So that's why I'm trying to accumulate time off, eventually vacation days, to go on the big ones. But right now, I'm exploring the countries of Dominican Republic, Colombia. I plan on going to like the Panamas, the Honduras, Haiti. Those are on my itinerary in the near future. So once I get through all those countries, I should also have enough time off to go to maybe Africa, to go to Brazil, to go to Thailand. There's plenty more countries that, there's also those 2 key countries I wish I could Guadeloupe, and Martinique. Those countries are key because of this particular plan that I do have in the future. All right, we're about 10 minutes in. Let me check the time because I'm either going to be shut down by my alarm or I could close the video and make it worthy of an upload. So I got about 5 minutes to get to my point. So I say all this to say that I have a trip in 2 weeks, and I plan on using that channel to create create some subscribers for this to become a community for like-minded people. I do know that there's someone out there that could listen to this and it could help them, because sometimes life is what it is, life. So that's why, along with this video, I'm gonna upload this other video where I talked about how I feel about just clocking in. And I'm only 30 years old, and a lot of people, man, they die at 30. I mean, they still living, but whatever hopes, dreams they had, all of that is usually out, is not in the play for them, to the point where they might have lived to 70, 80, 90 years old, but they kind of just existed. They didn't go after what they wanted. They're not in the relationship they wanted, if they're even in a relationship at all. They kind of just settled. And this is the point of life where I'm shaking it off. Like, I haven't been in a relationship in a while, and it's almost like a gift and a curse, right? And I don't want to get too deep into that, but this is the pivotal point where I could have either been stuck on something, or I could be doing something revolutionary. I'm inspired by a lot of scientists who never got married, people who changed the world, people who had an impact on the world. Now, do I want a bunch of unnecessary attention where people are attacking my ideas, attacking me for being different? No, I want no parts of that. But however, I do want to be able to create that small community of loyal people who has the same similar goals, who has dreams, who needs help, man. I want to be able to help people. So that's why I feel like being able to build one channel could help the other channel, where I'm probably not going to open myself up as much in other channels, but this is only on purpose, where I do open myself, I do let myself to be seen, because I did have this conversation with someone that I felt like, man, was reading me very, very, very deep. Pause. Like, they just could see me. They said, man, it looked like, man, you hiding. Like, it was a college. I think I mentioned him before, Dr. Rahul Hueta. First semester in college, called me into his office a couple of times. I think he was my advisor. Pretty much, he was my advisor. And he just threw a couple things at me, man. And little did I know, a lot of it was hitting hard, man. Whether he told that to all the students he had as an advisor, it really resonated with me. So with that being said, man, I want to change that about me. I want to allow myself to shine. Those were the key words. Allow yourself to shine, being heard and things like that. Although those sound nice, but when he was telling me that, it almost felt like an attack. I don't know if y'all know what I mean. But now, like, at the time I was 18. Now, 12 years later, man, I'm finally acting out on that. And I remember writing those things down in so many places in my book, kind of just trying to let it seep in. But at the time, I was very distracted and I did not. So I'm going to stop this video right now. I'm going to have the opportunity to create another 10-minute one. So I'll catch you on the next one.